Hey everyone, ever caught yourself doodling during a boring lecture or meeting? Those little squiggles and shapes you draw when you're not really paying attention. Well, today we're going to explore something pretty cool. How these doodles might actually be helping you focus and remember things better. Let's dive into Andrade's fascinating study on doodling. Doodling is often seen as a distraction. We might draw a picture or sketch a pattern, perhaps shading in the shapes where we're thinking about something else. This is called doodling. Teachers often tell learners off for doodling. I didn't even know I was doing it, you think to yourself in self-defense. Perhaps your teacher's complaint is justified. Research has shown that we perform less well when our attention is divided between tasks. But could the doodling actually help maintain focus? However, there's an alternative explanation for the effect of doodling is that it could improve performance by raising arousal and enhancing focused attention on the primary task. Doodling might aid concentration, for example, by reducing daydreaming so that you stay focused. This idea is based on the working memory model. This model of short-term memory suggests that two different types of current or working memory can be used at the same time. One is vision spatial and the other auditory. So defines doodling as the sketching of patterns and figures that are not related to the primary task. Andrade used several strategies to increase boredom in her participants. This increased the possibility of boredom affecting the participants' attention, therefore creating a situation in which there would be a potential for doodling to affect their attention for better or worse. In Andrade's study, the primary task of listening to a message was an auditory task, whereas doodling is a visual-spatial task. This ensured that the two tasks would not be in direct competition for one memory resource, as the working memory model suggests that the visual spatial and the auditory modules can be used at the same time. Doodling is a common activity in our real life. In this study, Andrade was interested to know whether this activity assisted information processing, perhaps by enabling people to attend more effectively or by enhancing their memory. Therefore, the aim of the study was to test whether doodling aided concentration in a boring task. Let's look at the sample in this study. 40 members of participant panel at the Medical Research Council Unit for Cognitive Research, aged 18 to 55 years, and they were paid a small sum for participation. Initially, they had volunteered for different studies, but were recruited via opportunity sampling. Once their original study had been completed, the researcher approached them to ask if they would spend another 5 minutes taking part in this study. They were randomly assigned to either of the following: control group, doodling group. One participant in this condition did not doodle and was replaced. This was a laboratory experiment. The environment was not the normal place in which people would respond to telephone messages, and the situation was controlled. The design was independent measures, as participants were either in the control group or in the doodling group. Let's look at the procedure. All participants listened to a dial mock telephone call about a party. As participants were asked to take part in this research just after they had completed a study they had volunteered for, they were already thinking about going home. It was hoped that this would enhance the boredom of the task. The independent variable is either doodled or did not doodle. They were told beforehand they would be tested on the names of people who were attending the party. This was a monitoring task. They also had an unexpected test on the names of places mentioned. This was the recall task. The order of these tests was counterbalanced. Half the participants were asked to recall the names of party girls, then the places mentioned. The other half recalled the places first, then the names. The dependent variable is the measures of recall names of people or the place. These two tasks were to operationalize the device. Plausible mishearings, such as Greg for Craig, were counted as correct. Other names that were on the tape but were not party girls, example John, were scored as false alarms. Other words relating to people, such as the sister, were ignored. The final score for monitoring was the number of correct names minus false alarms. Recap of details. The mock telephone message lasted 2.5 minutes. It was recorded in a monotonous voice at an average speed of 227 words per minute. 8 names of people attending a party. 3 people and 1 cat could not attend. 8 place names were mentioned, as well as irrelevant details. The participants were given the standardized instructions. I'm going to play your tape. I want you to pretend that the speaker is a friend who has telephoned you to invite you to a party. The tape is rather dull, but that's okay because I don't want you to remember any of it. Just write down the names of people who will definitely or probably be coming to the party, excluding yourself. Ignore the names of those who can come. Do not write anything else. In doodling conditions, the participants were given a A4 sheet with alternating rows of squares and circles, 10 per row. The sheet also had a white marquee on the left for recording the target information. Received a pencil, asked to shade in the squares and circles while listening to the tape. They were told, it doesn't matter how neatly or how quickly you do this. It's just something to help relieve the boredom. In control condition, the participants were given a sheet of lined paper to write their answers on, which they could also have used for doodling. Each participant listened to the tape at a comfortable volume and wrote down the names as instructed. The experimenter collected the response sheets, then talked to the participants for 1 minute, including an apology for misleading them about the memory test. Then they completed the surprise test of recalling names of places, then people, or vice versa. Let's look at the results. The action of doodling. In doodling condition, the mean number of shaded shapes on the pretend sheet was 36.3, with a range of 3 to 110. In control condition, no participants doodled spontaneously. In doodling condition, correctly record a mean of 7.8 party girls' names and 1 person made 1 false alarm. In control condition, correctly record a mean of 7.1 of the 8 party girls' names and 5 people made a false alarm. What does this mean? Overall, the doodling participants record a mean of 7.5 names and places, 29% more than the mean of 5.8 for the control group. Recall for both monitor and incidental information was better for doodlers than controls, even when the participants who suspected a test were excluded to eliminate effects due to demand characteristics. Strictly in the monitoring performance, the doodling condition was significantly higher than in the control condition. Let's look at the conclusions. Doodling helps concentration on primary task, as the doodling participants performed better than participants just listening to the primary task with no concurrent task. However, because the doodling group were better on both the monitored and incidental information, there are 2 possible explanations. Explanation 1, the doodlers noticed more of the target words, an effect on attention. Explanation 2, Doodling improved memory directly, for example, by encouraging deeper information processing. Let's look at the evaluation of the study. Firstly, let's look at the strengths. The main method was the laboratory experiment using an independent measures design. This means that it was possible to control extraneous variables. For example, ensuring the participants were listening at a volume comfortable for them and using a recorded telephone message so that there were no differences in stress on the important words between conditions. Due to the controls, for example, the script and the length of time participants were talked to by the researchers before the recall test. Andrade could be confident that it was the doodling itself that was causing a change in the recall rate. This means the research was more valid. It was also standardized so that the study can be easy to replicate for reliability. Secondly, let's look at weaknesses. Listening to a tape recording and then having an unexpected recall test is not a usual task for people in everyday life. Therefore, the study could be low in Monday realism. The use of independent measures, as different participants were used in the conditions, doodling and non-doodling, participant variables may have affected some of the results. These possible issues reduce the validity of the findings. Although the participants were varied in age, so were representative in this respect. They were all members of a recruitment panel, and the kinds of people who volunteer for such panels may all be very similar. For example, having time to spare or an interest in psychology. This could bias the sample, lowering validity. Let's look at some ethical issues in this study. This study raised a few ethical issues. There was some deception in the study, as the participants were told they would not be expected to remember any of the information on the tape recorded message. However, when it was over, they were given an unexpected test on place names. As such, the participants were unable to give fully informed consent. This had the potential to make them distressed if they were unable to remember the names, so could expose them to risk of psychological harm. Although a debrief is not a substitute for good ethical procedures, the experimenters debriefed the participants and apologized for misleading them about the unexpected recall test. This is a justifiable breach of the issue of deception, as it was necessary for the study to be completed successfully and would not have affected the participants in the study. There are, however, some positives about this study as far as the ethical issues are concerned. This study does not cause psychological harm, as doodling is an everyday activity that is done by many people. In addition, the quality of the doodling was not judged by the experimenters, so the participants should not have felt judged in any way. Participants in the doodling condition were told, it doesn't matter how neatly or how quickly you do this. It's just something to help relieve the boredom. In summary, Andrade's study suggests that doodling can aid concentration and memory recall, offering a valuable tool for managing attention during boring tasks. Reflecting on this study, think about how you can apply these findings to enhance your daily productivity. Thank you for enjoying this lesson. See you next video.